my name is Josie, Apex content creator and a Twitch streamer. And today we have our guest, Ross the Squirrel. He is also a content creator. He does the majority of his stuff on YouTube and TikTok. So absolutely feel free to check him out. We're going to talk a bit about his journey and his experience as a creator and answer some questions. So we'll go ahead and bring him in. Come on in, Ross.
Hey, Josie, how's it going?
Hey, going well. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks for asking.
Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate you being here. I'm super excited to dig in and to tell everybody a bit about your experience. I know that yours, the other people that I've had on here haven't been as big, at least on the TikTok side. So I think it'll be really awesome for everybody to hear about your content creation journey there. How many followers are you at, and like views? Give us some stats really quickly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm excited to be here, and thanks for having me. So right now have about 134,000, right over 130,000 on TikTok. And I started that about a year and a half ago. So I started that in 2021. Probably, if I were to, take an educated guess, somewhere around maybe 150 million to 175 million views across all my videos on TikTok.
Yes.
And then YouTube, I have about 24,000 subscribers there as well.
So that's awesome. You're one of the bigger creators, which is really exciting.
Yeah, cool.
But,
I know I'm not that big, but I'm still proud of it, but trying to keep growing for sure.
Yeah, it's so funny because whenever you're at that milestone, you're like, oh, I don't feel like I'm that big, or like you compare yourself to others. But then when someone else sees you, they think like, oh my gosh, because I was even thinking for myself, like I'm at a little over 10,000, and I remember when I first started, like that would be crazy to me, even just to think about 10,000. But now that I'm there, I'm like, I'm so small. I'm a tiny little fish in like a huge pond.
Right, I got you.
And then even if I were to hit 100K or even in the millions, you're still probably going to be like, oh, like that's great, but I still feel.
Yeah, it's hard not to compare yourself. Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone does it, and especially on social media.
Especially with TikTok, with the virality factor being so easy now and accessible to everybody. But I will say I've seen a lot of videos blow up, and people don't get the followers though. Like the ratio is not there. And so I think like even my videos that have gone well from a small scale, I'll sometimes get a lot more followers from that. And then the ones that even go super viral, so it's all about that consistency.
100%.
Which we'll get into more. So let's talk about your gaming journey. I always like to open with that. Like, how did you start? I know you're a console player. Like, how old were you? What games have you gotten into?
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk about that.
So I've definitely been a gamer like all my life. Trying to think back like to the earliest that I can even remember, probably when I was like 5 or 6 years old. Totally started out on like a Game Boy Color. Played that as I was in the back of my parents' car, just driving to the store or wherever. Really have mostly, been on console. I just got a PC like a year ago, but
yes, I remember when you were first looking for that.
It that's a whole new world for me, was trying to figure out a PC, but really started with console stuff. Had a Game Boy Color, then moved to like a PS2 and then a Wii and then a 360. And then I've stayed like PlayStation from there on out. So I've got the PS4 and the PS5. PS5 is what I use for all my content stuff. But really with like content creation and everything like that, it's been something I wanted to do for so long. And I'm in my mid-20s, and I didn't start until I was like 25, 26 doing all of this stuff. But I really wanted to do it for a really long time, and just kind of talked myself out of it, or thought I wasn't going to be able to really go anywhere with it. Started playing Apex, right when it came out, the day that it came out, and really enjoyed it. And even with that, I didn't start making content until it was out for more than like 2 years. But, something just clicked. I was like, hey, I'm actually just going to try it, see where it goes, see what happens. And I'm really glad that I did, because it's opened up some awesome opportunities for myself. And I just really enjoy it, which is really cool.
What was the click for you for when you wanted to try content? Was it really just this is something I've kind of wanted to do, and now I just wanted to give it a shot?
Yeah.
Or did someone inspire you?
Yeah. So I tried before. I don't even remember, like before COVID and everything. I tried very briefly streaming on Twitch, and I knew that I didn't have too much of a setup just starting on my console. But it's still doable for sure. And I tried it and I was like, you know what, I'm not really being consistent right now. I'm not really in like cards for me at the moment. So I kind of stopped there and then reevaluated and thought about it a little bit harder of how I wanted to start out and everything, and then decided to actually just go for it. I was kind of going back and forth if I was going to try again. And I didn't really have anyone in particular. Like I didn't really watch too many streams or anything like that initially to get me excited or interested in it. I kind of really, what was like the deciding factor for me was I finally downloaded TikTok and I started watching TikToks and I saw what other people were doing. And I was like, okay, I personally think I could do this at least at the same quality that someone is doing, if not maybe a little bit better. And that's kind of the driving factor that I had.
I think one of the best things about there's so many good things, but what I love about what you do is your editing. Your editing is absolutely insane. How long did it take you to get there? Did you have inspiration from that? Like, I really want to hear about that today, because I feel like that's where you really stand out, and that's where you've made your mark, you know?
Thank you. I appreciate that. So really funny with all of that. So again, when I started all this, I literally just had my PS4. I just had my console. I wasn't using my PC to edit or anything like that. And I think that's where, you know, people can think you need so much like high-end stuff to get going, and you really don't. I literally started from, I don't even know, for the first 6 months, which in those 6 months I probably got 30 to 40,000 followers on TikTok. And in that time, I literally edited on my PlayStation. Like, there is
the share. I didn't know that, actually. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So there's the Share Factory app is what it's called. It's on both PS4 and PS5. I would edit on the console. I would do my voiceovers on there and everything. And it's in horizontal format. So it's on, like, you know, it would be better suited for YouTube, but I would edit it all on there, send it to myself on my phone via the PlayStation app, download it on my phone, use an app like InShot or CapCut, and make it vertical video and post it. Like, there were definitely a lot of steps that I needed to do, but I got it to work. I didn't spend the money right away, didn't need that investment of a PC up front. And then I would just, you know, post that way. But then once I got my PC, and now what I've done for the last year, I use Adobe Premiere Pro, you know, looked at some videos, looked at some just tips and everything, and seeing what other creators were doing to kind of then make my own personal way of editing that I wanted to, but taking into account like what works well and what doesn't. And for myself, I really enjoy video editing, but I know that, like, I decided to go with Premiere Pro just because I wanted to learn that program, because I know it's such like a marketable skill to have, especially with the other Adobe Creative Suite products or programs.
I like Premiere Pro the best as well. I think it's good, and there is a bit of a learning curve. Did you ever have a moment where you were just so frustrated or like you had certain things, or was it pretty smooth for you because of your editing, or did you just YouTube? Like,
there's definitely, you know, starting out frustrations for sure that I would say that I would run into when I was learning Premiere Pro. I can't think of like a specific example that I have, but definitely if there's anything that came up, I would just head over to YouTube and it would pretty much sort itself out that way, which is nice.
I would walk away if I couldn't get it from YouTube. Like, I would try, of course, to research and see, and sometimes you just need to walk away, especially if you've been on it for a few hours. And then right when you come back, it's either fixed or you click something and you're like, oh.
There's definitely been times where I just like accidentally click something on the keyboard and the whole like window just looks completely different. I'm like, okay, I don't know what I did.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think Premiere Pro was, for myself, relatively easy to learn just because I'm familiar with other Adobe products. Like especially Adobe, like Photoshop and Illustrator, which isn't necessarily for video editing, but just kind of understanding, you know, the way that Adobe is set up a little bit helps for sure. But something that was really foreign and hard for me was OBS with streaming. That was
I think so. It's so funny because I've had a couple people on before and they've all talked about their journeys, of course. And it is really interesting to see that a lot of people have similar backgrounds of where you don't really need much. And I think that's so many people think you need the top tier equipment, you need to spend all this money, and like my webcam was only $30 or so, especially if you get a Black Friday deal. I think Razer had something.
100%.
If you get a streaming setup, OBS is free, and you don't even necessarily need a computer. We had one girl and she borrowed her computer from her friend, and she literally would lug the computer into her room, replug it in when he left for work, and then came back during the day. So
that's crazy.
You just work with what you have.
Yeah.
But and she even said, and a few other people were saying that if you're not a tech person, the streaming side of like learning all the technology and seeing that stuff. And I've even avoided some of the cool features. I know I'm not using probably a quarter of the features that you can use.
For sure.
But so how with YouTube do you find, because you did Twitch and then YouTube, do you find a big difference of the usefulness, like with tools, or somebody's like, let's talk about the pros and cons of somebody's debating going on one platform versus another?
So one thing, so for myself, I was bouncing back and forth last year between Twitch and YouTube for streaming. Wasn't really sure which one I wanted to go with. I like both. I think both have ups and downs for sure. But for me, knowing that I was going to be making these TikToks, which I could also use as YouTube Shorts, and then longer form videos for regular YouTube videos and streaming, to me, it just made sense to have that all compiled on one platform, which is YouTube. Where Twitch, you're basically just making it where you do have to be like live to to use the platform. Like people aren't going to be going to Twitch to find your clips realistically at the end of the day.
Right.
So I kind of realized with that, I was like, you know what? I want to bounce over to YouTube, give it a go with streaming and see how it goes. But also YouTube has invested a lot more into their streaming platform to compete with Twitch in the last year. Which has been awesome. And I think I hopped on at the right time.
I think so too. If I could have redone it, I'm stuck on Twitch. Like that's where everybody is, and that's where I feel most comfortable. But if I could redo it, I would have gone on YouTube. And also, when you're a Twitch streamer and you're trying to get partnered, they ask you for your YouTube and they ask you for your Twitter. So if you already have your YouTube built, exactly like what you said, why not just do it all in one spot? And then the subscriptions, it's easier for monetization, I feel like, too. Yeah.
And transparently, like YouTube takes less money from the creators than Twitch does.
Yep. And Twitch is getting more and more greedy, which is crazy because it's like you're already already taking, like, you really don't need to. It's ridiculous.
The one thing that I do think is interesting that and this is my speculation and just my thoughts, I don't think brands from it, sponsorship related stuff, are really looking at YouTube streamers at the moment, because I do think I am missing out on that from not streaming on Twitch. Twitch, with the CCV, the concurrent viewers that I get on YouTube, like I strongly feel like I would be able to be partnered on Twitch, since I have like 100 plus in my YouTube streams all the time. Like I average 100 at least. But I feel like if I was partnered on Twitch, just having that like check mark and having all of that, I think the brands are still looking over at Twitch and for larger creators. Specifically streaming. If you're a large creator on YouTube, those opportunities are there. But when it comes to like a large creator on YouTube posting long form videos, those opportunities are there. But I don't know if they're there just yet for streamers.
Do you think that it's comparable for Twitch partner with how many views that you get on Twitch regularly versus YouTube? Like, is it, because I know with Twitch, the competition and the way the discoverability, everything is so much, it's really challenging there. But with YouTube, I'm not as familiar because I'm not on there. Would you say that they're comparable, where if you have like 100 views in YouTube, it's just as challenging for Twitch? Or do you think that there are some, like, there's some easier or harder things from YouTube versus Twitch from like that partner standpoint or that check mark?
So it definitely, it feels like YouTube almost needs like some middle tier element, if that makes sense. Like Twitch, you've got the affiliate, which realistically at the end of the day is pretty easy to hit. You need 50 followers, average like 3 viewers and all that. YouTube, to be partnered, you need 1,000 subs, 4,000 watch hours over, I think it's the last 90 days, or is it the last year? If I'm misremembering that, but then that's it. Then you don't get the check mark until you get 100,000 subscribers.
Oh my gosh, that's such a big jump.
So you don't get that like official check mark, which is then like next to your name and comments and on your channel page and everything like that. You don't get that until you're at 100,000. So there's that middle ground that I feel like specifically from a streaming perspective would be really nice to have on YouTube if you hit a certain amount of concurrent viewers or how many times you stream in a week, chatters, etc., anything like that. That's where I feel like YouTube might be lacking a little bit. Also, I do think Twitch has a much better integrated chat platform or chat feature, like live chatting, than YouTube. That's where YouTube's a little bit lacking, I would say.
Yes, that's what I'd heard as well. But again, I haven't experienced it. And I think that's also why I'm stuck on Twitch, also because that's already where everybody is. But that's where I thrive is based off of that chat. Because I'm not that good of a player. And
I hear you. And that's what I do too. It's all about chat for me.
Yes. And so that's super important and valuable for that. But also, I think it's a good point, though, because like you said, YouTube is investing to compete with Twitch. And so I think that over time, YouTube is eventually going to surpass Twitch, especially as content creators are going to get so frustrated with how they're treating, how much money is being taken. And also, even like going on the female side, there's been a lot of instances that I've seen where Twitch is not taking it seriously at all about like harassment and serious problems. And Twitch has just completely overlooked it. And then they'll post things like, "Oh, we support our women," and they're like, "Oh, really?"
Right. And they don't really stand by like what they're putting out there. Yeah,
exactly. So I feel like that might scare some people away too.
Yep, I hear you. I think YouTube knows that they know that their creators are what make their platform.
Yeah.
And I don't think Twitch puts that out there. Like they're not expressing that love, I guess, but YouTube does, which is good.
Yes. I completely agree. I want to talk to you about how you got your name. Yeah. Because I know that you originally had Ross Bob and now Ross the Squirrel. So I think that's a really good story.
Yeah, 100%. So my name is a really funny story. So my good friend who I play Apex with basically every day, his name is Bob Ross Squirrel. He's the OG. So he's got the name, and if you guys are familiar at all with Bob Ross, he's he used to have a TV show. He would paint very therapeutic paintings, and his voice was just really calming. But he also had
trees.
happy little trees, happy little accidents. Yeah, happy little accidents. The white titanium or whatever, all the different colors. He had pet squirrels that would be on the show. So Bob Ross Squirrel is my good friend, and I wanted to be exactly like him and have a similar name since we would always play duos together in Apex and thought it'd be funny, basically having the same name. So my name was Ross Bob Squirrel. And then I started all this content stuff, and I was like starting to grow, and I was thinking in the long term, I was like, don't want to potentially get sued or have any legal issues.
I know we were talking about that
with the Bob Ross company. So I changed it to be a little bit more generic, but still keeping like the Ross name. And then I think the squirrel part is kind of funny. So
So do you know why he came up with the squirrel part, or?
No. Like I lived with him in college. Like we would just throw on Bob Ross sometimes, like on Netflix at just in the evening and stuff like that. And one year him and his now wife went as Bob Ross, and then she went as his like the paint, is it easel? Is that the right terminology?
I think so. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. And so that's what they went as Halloween one year. And but like literally with like real paint, and he like painted her throughout the night. So like Bob Ross has just
such a good idea.
Yeah, it's actually they have really good ideas for Halloween. But Bob Ross has just been something that's been in our lives for a while. And I think he just likes the squirrels that are on there. So it's
there you
fun.
Go. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Do people ever get confused, or how often do you ask about your name?
Oh yeah. So if people ever, like make a video where they mention me or something like that, or like an article gets written or something like that, like on a gaming site, so many times they'll say Bob Ross Squirrel. It's really funny. So they'll use his name. But yeah, people will ask me, about my name, or they'll just shorten it to like Ross, or sometimes we'll just shorten it to Squirrel and stuff like that, which is funny.
Is he still streaming and gaming as well?
He's gaming, yeah. He doesn't stream or anything. No.
Okay.
No. He's like in med school and everything, so he's he's crazy busy. But he's the time that he has to game is very surprising to me. So he's still he still games with me, which is really cool.
Yeah,
that's like how we stay friends, which is awesome.
That's good. Yeah, there's a lot of people like that where even if you just game with them, it's so nice though too, where even if you do have to take a bit of a break and then you come back and it's just like it never like nothing ever changed.
No time passed. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that having that connection, the connectivity with online just makes that so much easier, and it's so nice.
Oh yeah.
Where in person, like you just wouldn't be able to form those connections or have it just pass like nothing happened.
I agree.
Stay in touch with people that you haven't stayed in touch with for a while. There's even a girl who I used to work with when I was in high school at a high school restaurant, and she saw that I was a streamer.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, I saw on your Instagram, like, I'm thinking about getting into streaming. I'd love to game with you. And I was like, I didn't even know that you gamed. And she didn't know that I did either. Yeah. And so we're going to play some games together. And I literally haven't talked to her since my high school, and she's like 5 or 10 years older, I think. Okay. So cool. It's just like odd pairings or partnerships that you wouldn't expect.
Right. It definitely is. It's a great way to connect.
Who do you think is one of the coolest or one of the best experiences that you've had from meeting a friend or someone online?
Let me think about that.
I know that's super vast, and I'm sure that there's a lot, but is there anyone who's stuck out, or even a couple of people that have stuck out to you where you just can't believe that you met them online, or like they're somewhere across the world, or even just local, or something crazy like that?
I kind of have a couple answers. So definitely from streaming and just any content creation, stuff like that, especially streaming though, like the community that I have is people all over the world. I mean, that's the craziest thing to me is there's people in Australia or Japan or the UK or anywhere in Europe, that are just tuning in at the exact same time. That's the craziest thing to me.
Do you think that has to do with your TikTok as well, to get those, and YouTube, like because of the algorithm to get people from? Do you think TikTok is more of a play with that, or YouTube, or is it both from all over the world?
Probably both. Okay. I think also the time that I would stream makes sense too, because if I'm starting, like afternoon time here in the US, it's going to be potentially nighttime over in Europe. So that definitely plays a factor, I would say, as well.
I think so too. I always, the time that you streamed was always interesting, like in the afternoon.
Sure. Yeah. It works out well, I think, to get different types of people just based on the time. So I would say though, for like other people that I've met, honestly, I'm going to say yourself, because we've been, been like, you're just messaging back and forth for so long, and then we always bounce ideas off of each other, and it's super helpful.
Know. Yeah, it really is. I would say, and we met on TikTok too. And I also think this is for people as well, because I am a smaller creator too, for sure. And it can be intimidating sometimes when you do have people in the like 100,000 or even million, when you connect with people. But honestly, like, they're all just the same, we're all just people, we're all just creating content. Yeah. And there was even a girl I remember, and she was like, oh my gosh, like I look up to you so much. I eventually want to get to where you are one day. And I'm like, I'm not even that, like, it's so small, but to some people it looks crazy. And
for sure.
And she just passed me, and I was like, yay, good for you. Like, I knew she would, but it was so great. And just the consistency. I'm
sure that felt great, like, for you to like see that as well.
Oh yeah, she's fantastic. Like I've stayed in touch with her, but and we've known each other for a bit now, right? Like I would say, I think I found you when you were even in the 40,000 followers. Yeah, and then you exploded.
It's been at least a year, like for sure.
Because that's when I started taking my content creation somewhat seriously as well, and like dabbling around with some stuff. And then that's when you just get to meet some really cool. It's so awesome when you're following somebody, and then it's like, oh, you're mutuals, and you're like, oh my gosh, has that who has that happened with you?
Yes, I've been trying to do that more with just people similar sized and also smaller than me, and also bigger. Just trying to continue to connect with different creators, because everyone's going to bring something new to the table that will help you. Just learn and continue to grow. Some big names, I would say, and if you're not familiar, just let me know. But bigger names in like the TikTok world and like YouTube that I've connected with, there's Skeptation, Tony Romero, Garrett, Thornton Smash, bigger names in like Apex that I've connected with. Yes. Revin, the nub, is on TikTok. He's got like 200,000 followers. Ankle Sprain has like maybe like 130, 140, something like that. And then, you know, I try to stay connected too with some smaller people as well, smaller creators, just because I think it's good to connect with all different sizes and see what people are doing.
For sure. Do you guys ever, when you connect with them, have you ever created content together, or do you game together? How do you keep those relationships?
Yeah, so one cool thing that I did was
because you have your custom lobbies too.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just going to go into. So this one guy, he's on YouTube. He streams also on YouTube. His name's Robo Hobo. He has close to probably like 70,000 subscribers, and he streams all the time. And so I reached out to him, seeing, you know, that I just like cold cut, just like reached out to him. Didn't really know him at all beforehand, but had watched his streams a few times, thought he was chill, had a good vibe and everything. And I asked him if he wanted to do, you know, a community versus community type of event in customs within Apex, where we had 30 people from his side going up against 30 people from my side in like a ALGS scrims style tournament. And basically, you know, pretty friendly. We just had people bouncing back over from each stream, kind of, you know, cheering people on, and new people were coming over to my stream, new people from my community going over to his and everything like that. Yeah. And then we just had, you know, kind of like a nice little wager that whichever community won, the other creator just had to gift like 5 memberships on YouTube, which is always nice. Yeah. So, you know, kind of bringing some competition into it. So done stuff like that with some other creators, you know, done just some like funny videos and stuff in private lobbies, or just kind of game together, like ran duos or trios together as well, which is nice.
I do want to talk more about the private lobbies too, because I think that's also something that stands out. But first, we will take a quick break, a quick ad break, and we will be right back.
Sounds good.
Okay, and we are back. So we were talking a bit about private lobbies. I know we were getting into that. So let's talk to me about how you got involved in the private lobbies, how that changed your content game, your interaction with other people. Let's get into that.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, private lobbies in Apex Legends are very, very exclusive, very hard to get. I don't know why. I wish they were more available. They should be more available to the player base, but unfortunately at this time they're not.
So can you add more about what private lobbies are? Because there's a bunch of people here that don't know about gaming. So give a little more, like talk to them like they're 8.
So in Apex, normally you can go ahead and just hop in a game with your friends or completely by yourself, and you're going to be matched with random people around like your similar server area and everything like that. So normal games, that's what basically 99%, if not more, of the player base are doing in Apex. Now, there are private custom lobbies that you are able to create. However, you need approval beforehand from the publisher EA in order to do that. So within this, you can go ahead, choose the map that you want to play. Sometimes there's maps that aren't available in the game for everyone else, like those 99% of players. You can have maps that aren't available in the normal game at the time. You can, do as little as many players as you want, up to the max, which is 60 players. You can do both game modes, which is Battle Royale and Arenas. Kind of just allows for some more fun stuff, and we make up our own rules that we can do. Like sometimes we'll do like hide and seek games, or we'll do certain weapons only, which you can't really do that type of stuff in the normal games. Just kind of allows a lot more uniqueness, I would say.
How do you get everybody to work together? And do you ever get people who try to go rogue? Because I know we can have like up to 100 people, or how many people can you have?
So it's 60. Yeah, 60, so it's up to 60.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot to manage. And so what I really like about it, and I'll go back to answer your question, what I really like about it is that I used to do viewer games where I was playing with viewers, and in Apex, you can only squad up with 2 other people max. You can only have a team of 3 total. When I do customs, I can have a full lobby of 60 players that are within my community, all participating and playing at the same time, all together, which is really cool. And yeah, it is a lot to manage when we have all 60 players. When it's something easy, when it's a normal battle royale game, there's no rules, it's just a normal game, super easy to manage. When we do something else where it's like hide and seek, which would be 3 players, and then the remaining, which would be 57, like 3 players are seeking, the remaining 57 are hiding around the map and trying to stay hidden. And I make it where those hiders cannot like deal any damage, they can't punch, they can't shoot or anything like that. The seekers are the only ones that are allowed to shoot. Definitely had instances, where people are not following the rules. And I honestly am very strict with my rules because we have this limited and exclusive ability to do these types of games.
Yes.
That if there's going to be someone that's going to ruin it, I literally have in my Discord, I have a private channel where I just put people's names down if they're banned, because they're just going to ruin the fun. If there's 59 people that are all following the rules and there's that last one person, it ruins everything. So I'm super strict. I'll just, we'll end the game, I'll kick them, and then we'll get someone else in their place. And that's how I describe it. Like, if you guys are not going to listen to the rules, someone will, and they'll take your spot and you guys won't play. I kind of have to bring it down as if I'm like a babysitter or a teacher and they are in kindergarten, and that's how I treat it.
You have a lot of kids though. You have a younger
there are a good amount of teenagers.
For sure.
Yeah. For sure.
At least, so I know when you were on Twitch and even with TikTok, you had a big, like a younger crowd, right? Do you still have that?
I would say like probably, well, it's actually really interesting because I can look at the demographics, on YouTube and TikTok. And the last time I looked, that we're at least watching my content, not necessarily participating in like these customs, but watching, the majority it was like the age of like 18 to like 25 or whatever that range is, which I thought was a little surprising. I thought it was going to be more like the 13 to 18 range.
Yeah, I honestly did too with my content, and it was like 20 to 30, and I was like, that's pretty good though. Like,
right. Same. Yeah, that's right. That's how I was feeling. So that's the second most, is the 13 to like 18 or whatever numbers that they use. But I was still surprised to see that like the majority are around like my age and like the mid 20s, mid to younger 20s
even on
section.
TikTok too, and
even on TikTok,
I feel like TikTok, you would expect maybe a younger crowd, especially.
But there's also people might lie about their age. You never know.
Yep.
You never know. So you got to take that data with how it's presented.
So when you play with these customs though, and like, can you tell if it's more younger kids or older, or not necessarily once you're in the custom?
You can't tell at all. I can see what platform they're on, so I can see if they're on PC, it's a little PC icon. Since I'm on PlayStation, if they're on PlayStation, it'll be a PlayStation icon. If they're on Xbox then, or Switch, it'll just be a controller.
Gotcha.
But there are a good amount of Switch players, and honestly, I would associate a lot of Switch players with a younger audience, just since they might not have the capability of having like a higher end system or something like that to play.
Yeah.
And that's usually what it ends up being like. If Switch players are usually going to be a little bit younger, at least in my customs.
Are they because you're so strict with your rules, do you not have as many problems, or do you have like a problem almost every time with at least one? Yeah,
it's probably like, so I'll stream about 3 times a week, and there's definitely been like weeks that we don't have any issues if I'm streaming 3 times.
Great. Yeah. Wow. Do you do custom lobbies every time you stream?
But yeah, like probably if I'm streaming, 3 times a week, so 12 times a month, probably 11 times in the month I'm doing customs.
Oh my gosh, that's
because they're so engaging.
Yeah,
which is great.
And your content,
it's a win-win, because then I can make content out of it that I can, repurpose onto a TikTok video or a YouTube short.
Do you ever miss though the game itself, or like playing actual Apex instead of the customs?
So the thing that's nice is I can decide if I want to be in the game within customs, playing with my community at the same time, or if I want to spectate. So I can choose. But honestly, for myself, I really enjoy just spectating and not playing, at least when I'm streaming, because for me, there's too much going on. Like if I'm, and I'm sure you know, because you're trying to focus on the game. care about people in chat and interact with them all at the same time. And when I'm spectating and observing, it really allows me to just continuously have a conversation going with chat, which is really engaging. And that's what these people want. Yeah. And what I like about it, they want the attention, and I like interacting with them. And I know I wouldn't be able to give that if I was streaming like ranked or even just a regular playing with viewers pub style type of games.
Yeah. Especially because you have 100, you said about like 100 viewers as well. That's different. I think that once you break through the like 60, 70, and it totally depends on how active your chat is, but I find when you get closer to that 100 range, that's when it's harder to keep up with chat. Usually when you're in the 20, 30, 40 or below, and again, it just depends. Sometimes people are spamming and going crazy, but for the most part, it's pretty doable to be reading chat and playing. But yeah, when you're at that higher level, I could totally see that being a lot more challenging.
Yeah. But then I don't feel like if I'm doing like a ranked stream, and if I even have half that, if I have 50 people watching me still chatting, I feel like I'm going to either like tank my gameplay, which is not going to be good for the stream or for just myself, especially if I'm playing ranked. And then also at the same time, I'm not going to be like focusing on chat as much, and it's just going to be a downward spiral from there.
I completely agree. And that's also why a lot of people assume, oh, if you're just a really good player, that's all you need for streaming. I would actually say that's one of the lowest things that you need to be a successful streamer, because there's so many good players, and
you either need to be that top of the top or else.
And even I know people that are literally the top of the top that play ALGS, which is like a tournament for Apex. You have to get in. It's really intense. Oh, yeah. And I'm pretty sure you win like tens of thousands of dollars, if not in the 100,000s. But they will have under 10 viewers. Wow. Consistently on Twitch, and they're the top of the top, like one of the best players. And people just don't like. Because if you're not paying attention, it's all about like that community and that that how you handle that, which again we can talk about too with your community and how you let's get into talking about like community, how you manage that, and your thoughts around it.
Yeah, totally. So kind of going back to my mindset of when I started all the content creation and everything with that, biggest thing I was seeing where I wanted to stand out, and just for my own personal beliefs as well, what I was seeing so much in gaming, and it's still so apparent, is it's so toxic at times, whether it's just rudeness towards people, or like sexist stuff or racist stuff, and that does not vibe with me at all. And so I knew that when I started my content stuff, I really wanted to be the polar opposite of that, be very like welcoming and accepting and just open arms to everyone that was coming my way, which has paid off tremendously, because with that, I think we do have a really good community underneath, all my socials and everything like that. Whether it's Discord or just in YouTube or on TikTok, people are, for the most part, generally kind to each other, which is really nice. But yeah, that's just what I was really after, and it goes a long way, I think.
I completely agree. I was actually very surprised. I think that what you put out and what your expectations are, and kind of how you are as a person, and how you guide it, that's what you attract. And it's really cool when you look at your Discord or your chat and you say, wow, like they're all there for me, and this is the group that I brought in. And then when people compliment your community, and you're like, wow, like that's my community. Like we did that, we welcomed people in, and for you to nip things in the bud when they're not. People come in and just be like, sorry, we don't do that here, or like, I think having boundaries and having certain phrases that are just those are always good. Luckily I didn't really have to handle that too much. I thought I was going to have to a lot more than I did. I think it was helpful because I had such a great mod, but still,
that's nice.
I was blessed. I was like, wow, this was a lot easier than I even expected,
Yeah, it can get interesting at times, for sure.
For sure. Yeah, especially when people are coming from all over the world and all different platforms, just like what you do.
Yeah. And there's so much stuff, like just anything happening in the world, like politics stuff or just anything like that. And I try to keep that, at least the way that I look at it, try to keep it out. The way I look at it is like gaming and stuff like that is a time to, you know, take a step back, disassociate a little bit from the real world.
Relax.
Exactly. So I usually don't allow like those types of conversations either, because it can just, you know, people have opinions and it can just usually turn sour.
Yeah, I agree. Especially because you're not necessarily, even if you have a good point or a good like you want to have a healthy conversation about it, that's not the place. Like there are political streams that you can be on, or there's other, or maybe if you want to message somebody separately, that's fine. But when you're bringing everybody into it and your tone is hard to read when you're chatting and then as a streamer, and then it just gets really uncomfortable because you might want to chime in and then something you're saying is getting taken out of context with what you believe. And it's a lot more complicated than just black and white. That's why politics are politics. So I'm the same way. Like you just really want to be careful about that. Because the last thing you want is for things to get taken out of context, and man, people will be the first one to clip it. You said this. And you're like, no, I didn't.
Right, for sure. Right.
So
exactly. Another thing I was just going to say about community that I've really tried to maintain, and I think we've done a pretty good job of, is, you know, I don't expect that these people are going to like donate and stuff like that on stream. I think people go into content creation being like, I want to do this so I can, you know, make money, quit my job, yada yada, which you know is like the dream when you think about it. But if you're doing it solely to be like, hey, can I get like, here's like $10 from someone or something like that, you know, it's just not the way to do it. I think what I've done that has really helped continue to build a community is by giving back to our community that we have. So if someone like
you do a really good job with that, and it's kind of like a win-win too. I was going to ask about kind of your incentives, and it's good because it helps like build your community from it, but also please talk more about that.
Sure. So we'll just do giveaways a bunch of the time. So there's Apex coins, which you can use to buy stuff in game with. Yeah. So definitely if you're ever getting donated on stream or anything like that, like that is just crazy when you think about it. Like someone is going out of their way to pay you because you're giving them like enjoyment or content or whatever it is. And whether it's $1 or $100, you got to make sure you're like going crazy for it, because that is so fun. And whatever someone can donate. And I always try to make sure as well that I'm expressing how appreciative I am for those people that aren't donating as well, because there's you don't know anyone, you don't know everyone's circumstance. They are there, they're showing up like all the time, even if they're not donating. They're giving their time to you,
which is just as valuable, if not maybe more.
That's what I think as well. But what I try to do is like, I know that like I have a full-time job, you know, outside of this, so I don't need the money that's coming in from streaming. I just keep trying to either funnel it back into, I bought a PC, you know, like to increase the quality of my streams and all of that, or buying just like new equipment and everything, or giving back to the community. Like the other week we did a 1v1 tournament in Apex where it was like a bracket style, so going down the list, like first place we gave away a keyboard and like $50 in PayPal and like stuff like that. So I'm always trying to do fun, unique stuff. Or if I'm just streaming, I'll be like, hey, do you guys want to do an Apex coin giveaway to people that are watching? Give that. Always trying to do stuff to give back. Craziest thing, one person the other week, absolutely insane, donated over $500 on stream, and ridiculous. Like I didn't even know what to say, but I have some really good ideas that I'm trying to do and just do an awesome tournament / giveaway to the community, because like at the end of the day, I don't need that money. Like I want to keep building the community is what I'm really after. And I know that if I keep putting the money into it, it's just going to keep growing from there. Not even the money, just the size of the
It's like you're investing. It's an investment.
Exactly. That's how I look at it. Yep.
And if you look at the top, even they made a release of how much people were making from Twitch, and what was it like? Even the top 0.01% was barely making a livable wage, not even including taxes.
Yep.
So if you are going into it like that, it's not great. I also think charity streams are really good too. If you can get back there, it was really. amazing to see what people were hoping to. And I think also just prefacing again, like, you don't have to give. If you want to, it's great. But I was always so uncomfortable, even if we had like goals or like donation goals or something, because you feel bad. It's like, these are just regular people. If anything, you should be asking money from the brands or from YouTube or Twitch, like the big ones, not your community.
I agree.
So I felt so bad.
The worst part is when there are those people that really want to support you because they care about like what you're doing and stuff like that. And then something on Twitch or on YouTube, they're taking a percentage, which does suck, because like YouTube takes 30%, let's say. So if someone donates $10, $7 is going to me, $3 is going to YouTube. And that's, that person is trying to do that for you. And that sucks that there's just a middleman taking some money because...
Right, which I guess I get it though, because you have to have a platform, but I still feel like that's a lot. Like, do they really need that? I feel like even if they just did 10%, and which is even crazier.
Which is at, like 50 or whatever.
Yeah, even with partnered, which is insane. So yeah, a couple more things I want to talk about before we wrap up, because I do want to show your clips too. So let's talk about the mental gymnastics that you have when it comes to posting and like just being a content creator.
Yeah, oh my gosh. All the time, I'm like, if I'm working on a video, I'm like sometimes way too invested into the numbers. Like, I'm way too worried about, is this something that's going, to perform well? Is it going to flop? And all of that. And usually the way it works is that if there's something you're really passionate about and working on, it's not going to do as well as something that you're working on for like 5 seconds. That takes no time. It's usually how it goes. It never fails. Yes. But, I feel like that's something that I struggle with a lot, is worrying about posting something that is going to go quote unquote viral all the time.
I will say though, you probably have that because you are a bigger content creator, because there's more pressure, and you've already gone viral so many times that you sort of know what works and what doesn't. And so that pressure is there. I think when you're smaller and your content doesn't go as viral as regularly, there's not that expectation or that pressure.
That's fair.
I would argue that. Maybe not, but.
No, I hear you. And I kind of also, I think, associate it with, after working with different brands and stuff on different deals, that if I like have, because brands are going to be looking at like, let's say your last 10 videos, and probably average views of my last 10 videos would be, I don't know, somewhere on TikTok would be like between like 50 and 100,000, something like that. Right. And if I have a video in those last 10 that's under 10,000 views, it's going to drag down that whole average. And they're going to see it, and they're going to be like, they're going to be like, oh, we see that your last 10 videos range from like 6,000 all the way up to like 500,000 views. You're really inconsistent. So there's that factor as well.
But if you look at other people with TikTok, and also what makes me so mad with brands is when they come with their script and you're like, no, let the creators post the way where, like, even let's say if you're giving to an influencer and you want them to talk about a necklace or like a jewelry piece, then they want you to be like, this is so-and-so, this is it's like, no, just have a video. Have a video of you wearing it, and then like people asking you in the comments. That's going to do better.
That's the biggest thing. These lights were from Govi, and I did a sponsorship with them.
Yeah, they look great.
I love them. I love them. And when I, was talking to them about everything, they wanted a video and like talking about the price of it. And I was like, you do understand, like, I'm actually going to use these lights for the longest time I can think of on my stream every time that I'm streaming. Like, they are going to be there. And that, I think, is more beneficial than just a video.
100%. That, especially with TikTok, like, you can smell it from 10 miles away that it's a sponsorship.
And then you scroll, it's gone. At least when I see them, I just scroll right past.
So do you have any like advice for someone who's going through the mental gymnastics or something like that, of what's helped you to?
Yeah, I think, and when I was starting out and smaller and everything, my biggest piece of advice is just just do what you want to do and test out new things and see what works. But at the end of the day, you got to be making the content that you want to be making. Otherwise it's going to feel like a job. Like a lot of the stuff on YouTube that I had been making for the last, like most of last year and somewhat into this year was like a lot of glitch videos within Apex, like things that wouldn't like you're not supposed to be able to do in the game, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I like that. I think it's interesting. I find it fun. But I've kind of, moved away from that and focused more on these customs, which I do really enjoy as well. But, you have to find whatever keeps you interested, or if you're just going to always be doing the biggest thing, like the thing that you think will get you to grow, or the thing that other people are doing, but you don't like it, it's not going to be sustainable in the long run.
Yeah, I completely agree. And then Throne also.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that before we get into the clips?
Yeah. So Throne is great. It's relatively newer, at least to my understanding. But basically,
I hadn't heard of it.
Yeah, I think it's a really great feature from a community aspect. So when I just moved into my new place, got this set up, figured it out, I was like, I need to do something a little bit better so I can show some stuff off on stream.
Yeah, I need to do that too. It's tough for me because I also have client calls. Sure. And so I can't have like light up stuff or even like stuffed animals.
Yeah,
that's just not professional. So that's why I've just left it blank.
I know exactly.
I don't know what to do.
I know exactly what you're saying. I hear you on that. But I knew that I wanted something like this where I could show off some stuff. So I came across Throne. And what it is, you just choose, you basically make a wish list. So I'll go ahead and put items on there that I think would look good in the background of my stream, in this case, that people could go ahead and gift me. So if someone gifts it, and let's say while you're streaming, like I have chat come up, like every 30 minutes or something saying, here's my wish list. And people can click on it. And if they purchase it, that item, they'll get a notification on the stream, which is cool. It'll show everyone their name. Then that item gets purchased by the Throne company and it gets shipped directly to myself. So there's no work that I have to do.
And also you don't want to give out your address.
Exactly.
And other things. Yeah.
There's the privacy feature of it, which is really nice. But now, like these were blank before. I got like this little Nessie and like these two. Oh, me too. I know. It looks great. It's like a good size and everything.
Mine's smaller.
Yeah, this one I think was the bigger of the two sizes.
And Nessie is something in the Apex game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. And same with these figures down here.
Pops.
But the way that I looked at it too is like those people that gifted me these items, they're like forever in like my background with that. Yeah. Like they know that they helped to get it to look this way. Yes. And that's really cool. People enjoy like that type of
customization and like involvement.
That's the word I was looking for. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's huge.
Cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, you should. It's really interesting. And the way it works is like if an item is $10, let's say on Amazon or whatever website, and you put in your Throne list, it's like an extra 10% or something like that, or 5 to 10% to cover probably their costs of making it happen.
Oh, that's great.
It's not crazy terrible, and it's something that the way I do it, at least, that it's on stream, or like I have lights on me right now, like just like a face light that someone gifted me as well, which is cool. So being able to use it,
I especially the privacy aspect, that's huge. That alone is worth it.
Yes. I agree.
Okay, great. So let's get into some clips now.
Sure.
We'll see how much time we have. At least we'll get through one. But let's go ahead and do that.
Cool. So this is a YouTube short that I recently put up. I put up on TikTok as well, but this is one of the things that we've been doing lately in the custom lobbies. I've been doing it known as Ross Says. So it's basically like Simon Says, where people have to listen to what I'm saying.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's great for content both on stream, and then I can just save the clip, edit it down, and post it. It's perfect. Best of both worlds. So I'm just going to refresh the page and roll it there. Ross says, make a circle around me. Let's close it in. Ross says, if you are on PC, spam crouch. Ross says, Red Octane, come here. Ross says, pick up my Sentinel. Ross says, you're going to go ahead and spin around and try to hit people. You cannot purposefully aim at someone. You just need to spin around. So well, yes, exactly like that. Ross says keep spinning, and Ross says begin shooting. Ross says keep going. Ross says keep going. Ross says spin faster. Ross says make a circle. Okay. That's that. And it's so good from a content perspective because those are all people in my community playing at that exact same time, like listening to me in real time and probably like sweating like no other, thinking one of those bullets is going to hit them and they're going to be eliminated.
Yeah, so. I was sweating just watching it. And you can't do that in regular the regular game, just so everybody's aware. Yeah.
So with that, we had everyone in like a Discord call at the exact same time so they could hear my voice with no like lag from the stream or stream delay, anything like that. And so they were just listening to my voice and following like me around and having to do what I told them to do. So.
Oh, that's cool. Do you have another one? We could probably do one more.
Yeah. So this is another one that we did in the custom lobbies. So a lot of stuff I'll do as well to get the community involved is we'll just do like funny skits, I guess, where again, things you can't really do without the collaboration that you're able to do within the custom. So this is something that you can't normally do in the game, but it does make for really good and funny content.
Days seem sometimes as if they're
oh, it's so funny.
Sun turns its heels to dawn.
Yeah, all those people are not supposed to be up there.
No, yeah.
Where they are at all.
Yeah, and everyone's just hiding and it looks like what the heck? I totally saw that one. that one did pretty good for sure. And when you're watching or as a viewer, you just assume that people really are just waiting up there as like a team.
Right.
Some people don't understand that it's a custom lobby, which makes it 20 times funnier.
There's a lot of people, yeah, for sure. And that definitely helps from like a virality standpoint.
Yeah.
From commenting, because people get mad. Like people think that actually happened because they don't understand the customs since it's so limited again.
And you're not supposed to team. Like something like that would be called teaming because there's usually 3 people per squad or per team. And that's like your group. But if you run into somebody else, then you can't talk to them. But some people have an in-game thing where you like keep crouching. It's called crouch spam. And that means you're friendly. And then you can kind of talk to people and then you can kind of do things like that. But that looks like 3 or 4 teams went together. And people get so mad about that because they're like, you're teaming, you're not supposed to do that.
Cheating.
You can all game up on, or gang up on other people, and that's what they don't want.
Right.
This is everybody in one lobby. So, but like you said, it's really rare. It's so hard to get into these.
It is, yeah, and it's just at the end of the day for fun and everything like that. So
yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much for sharing that and for such a good presentation. It's always a pleasure. And thank you everybody for tuning in and watching, and we will see you next week.
What's going on, guys? It's Big Al with episode 6 of Throne Breaks. Today's episode is a good one. I have another mail day, which is always fun, but it's unique. It's not just sports cards. I had a buddy of mine, he hooked me up with some shirts, so I'm excited to unveil those and let you guys see what's in there. I also got a Chronicles UFC blaster box from Lids. They're selling cards at Lids now. Okay, fanatics, we see you. And I also have another interview. This week is with Alex Tressler, aka Army ATC 22. And in the interview, we talk about how long he's been in the hobby, what breaking used to look like, and how far it's come. It's honestly crazy, some of the stories that he shared. Like people used to send check by mail to get into breaks. Nothing was it was crazy. You have to stick tuned for the interview, but it just some of the shares that he had were unbelievable, incredible, really, from where it's come. I think he's been doing it for like 16 years now, to where it's at now. He's also started to go to shows recently and be vendors everywhere. We talked about that as well, but I'm excited to get into the interview. Again, episode 6, Throne Breaks. What's up, everyone? I'm here with Alex Tressler, aka Army ATC 22. Thanks for being here, Alex. And why the nickname first off? I guess why Army ATC 22?
Well, Al, first off, thanks for having me on. I've been watching the last few episodes and been pretty entertaining. Seeing, the whole different aspects of the hobby and everything else like that. So Army ATC has been my username in all platforms. If it's forums, YouTube, of course, Twitter, Instagram, everything. It's always been the same because of my background in the Army. So, of course, Army. ATC is air traffic control. That's why my logo that I created, I can get a little closer, is actually an air traffic control tower. I just recently made this logo and everything. And 22 has always been my lucky number. It has followed me around since I was a little kid. My number playing basketball, my number playing baseball, the number on my bus. It's so weird. It follows me around everywhere. It followed me around enough where I just retired after 22 years in the Army.
Wow.
In 2022.
Wow.
It's nuts. It's crazy how much coincidence that happened. So it's just, if you see Army ATC 22 anywhere online, it's me. I'm everywhere.
That's crazy. The 22 really does follow you, right? Were you an Emmitt Smith guy or anything? Any professional athletes that wore 22 that made that come about?
No. So another aspect is, my favorite player growing up was Dan Marino. I'm a diehard Dolphins fan. So 13 and 22 have always been my lucky numbers. So realistically, when I get into randoms and stuff like that, there's only 10 numbers. I go with the number 4 because 2 plus 2 equals 4 and 1 plus 3 equals 4. It's nuts.
And that is how you math, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
That is how you math.
Yes.
All right. Well, man, you've been in the collecting game for a very long time. What got you into collecting, and I guess when did you start collecting?
I originally did start, like majority of individuals start when they were young. Me and my dad would be at a card show looking for the Frank Thomas rookie no name, his rookie card. And then for some reason it just stopped. I don't remember when. Since I got back into the industry, the hobby, I've tried to remember when did I stop collecting when I was a kid, and I just can't think of it. When I started growing, on hair under my arms and my voice cracked or whatever, starting to go that route rather than, this. But so it was a big gap. Back in 2008, end of 2007, beginning of 2008, I went through a pretty bad divorce, and I told myself I needed to get a hobby, need to do something, get my mind off everything. And one of the guys that work with me had his son at work on a Friday in the Army. When we're not at war, we're not training and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that you can do back in the States with your family and stuff. Bring them to work and everything if nothing's really going on. And they were opening a box of, I believe, 2008 Topps Chrome baseball.
Wow.
When they opened it up, they pulled an autograph. And I was like, I remember opening cards, but I don't remember autographs being in there. Did a little research, found out that there's a lot more to it nowadays. So that started me back up with it. So at the time frame, I was stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And close to Fort Bragg, North Carolina is Wilmington, North Carolina, where Chris, aka Cards Infinity, who's on YouTube, has been on YouTube for a long time. I went down to his shop and checked it out. Got to meet him, one of the best individuals in the hobby and hobby shops that there is. A lot of people don't know he's the first person realistically to break online for individuals, started group breaks. He is technically the card father.
That's big.
It is.
Yeah.
And he's still at his own little shop doing it day in and day out. And he's just a great individual.
Love that.
A lot of people in the hobby know who he is.
Love that.
So I got his device and everything and decided to order a few boxes. Found it was cheaper to order on eBay instead of, through the shops and stuff. And after I did that, a few boxes came in. I was told about how much people kind of were not as honest on eBay. So, a case hit would come out of a case and then they sell all the rest of their boxes on eBay and, you're probably not getting anything good. And so I was afraid. I was like, oh, I'm going to get duped, whatever like that. So I ordered 1 box of Topps 2008 Triple Threads baseball. In that, they only get 2 hits. Now, it's 4 hits, 2 per mini box.
Sure.
But I got an auto of Jason Bay, old school Pirates player.
Jason Bay, yep.
And the card that really got me hooked again was a 101 David Ortiz MLB logo patch with 2 nasty Red Sox logos on top of it.
Wow.
And that's what started it all.
Yeah.
It was incredible. That was before, it wasn't any filming, anything, just opening, and I had no clue what I had.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure I ended up selling that card to a diehard Red Sox fan, and I still have the picture of the day. I still have that picture. That's crazy.
That would bring, I think, anyone back into the space for sure. Wow. So you had a pause just like all of us, right? I'm very similar to you, where I don't know what it was. I like the hair under the armpit, voice crack type of thing. That's probably about when I stopped as well. My story really quick is I had a pretty solid collection, and then my parents went and pawned it off, and I never saw it again. And so that hurt me so much that I was like, I'm not going to start over as like a 13-year-old, however old I was, right? And so I stepped out for a while, but I'm back in, just like you're back in. So we talked a lot about the Army, right? Obviously, you're an Army vet. When you and I spoke before, you said that there's a pretty big vet community in the industry. Do you kind of want to touch on that and how you're playing a role in that as well?
I've been around the world and back multiple times, stationed overseas and both deployments, Europe, all up and down, truthfully, the East Coast of the United States. And the hobby is a lot focused towards individuals that know sports, and the connection that you have with football, baseball, basketball, soccer, even tennis and, golf and all that stuff, it brings you closer to it. So a lot of individuals in the Army, I prefer, I'm more of the Army, not the other services, but I've been around a lot of other services that have collectors and stuff. A lot of us enjoy playing those sports, or we have when we were in high school or prior to that and everything. So the same aspect that I had, a lot of individuals had a gap, and just one little spark of their dad, the dad with their kids starting it over again, it just grows. In multiple locations overseas, including deployments, especially because I was now back in the hobby pretty big, I would bring it up. It's kind of one of those things. I don't know, a lot of people are the same way. It's one of those things you're kind of ashamed to talk about because you're dealing with it, but at the same time, you enjoy it so much. I think the analogy is, it's like riding a moped. It's fun to ride, but you don't want anyone to see you on it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So myself, as much as I enjoy it and everything, I would bring it up a little bit, talk about, we're talking about a game that just happened or whatever, it's just like, oh, I've seen, I have a few of his cards and stuff. Oh, you collect sports cards? I collect sports cards. And it just grows. There's so many people out there. I think they're more afraid of the masculinity of not being a nerd aspect of it. Right. And they're just out there hiding. But being in the area that I am now in Richmond, Virginia, close to Norfolk and the Navy area and everything around here, there is a huge presence at all the shows and stuff that I'm at and everything, that they're everywhere. When it comes time to, Veterans Day and people are coming out and giving back to vets, in different platforms and stuff, you just don't know that many individuals actually collect cards. It's pretty incredible.
I love the idea of us kind of hiding behind, especially like in the Army, right? It's very masculine, right? It's very, I'm tough. I'm defending. I'm everything that the Army embodies is the opposite of, hey, I collect sports cards. It's kind of the geeky, the nerdy side, which it's true. I think we are. Ashamed is maybe the right word for sure, because at some of my jobs, I'm like, do I want to bring up that I collect cards to this person? No, I'm gonna stay cool, right?
It's cool though whenever one sells for thousands of dollars.
Very true, and it's
That's
also equally cool when the other person you say it to says they do as well. Then it's almost like an instant, like, whoa, no way, yeah. So you mentioned you're in Virginia. You are a show vendor. I've seen you go to plenty of shows recently. What is the landscape looking like for you now? How has it changed from past shows that you've done? What are you thinking for future shows? All that stuff.
So I just started setting up at shows this year. So at the end of last year, I went to a lot more shows around here and everything, and I was just like, I have 10 years worth of group breaks, trading, and everything else just sitting in my closet, going with me from Alabama to Germany to New York to North Carolina, following me everywhere, just piling up. And there's a lot of people that are doing the same thing as I am, where they're just not they're not traveling. They don't know what to do with their stuff.
Yep.
Went to the shows. I would bring a couple shoe boxes, 2 rows with me full of stuff. And one vendor, when I got there, he's just like, you have more of this type of stuff? I mean, this is, like I said, a decade worth of autos, jerseys, numbered cards, a whole bunch of stuff that I know that are still good. And he's just like, if you have, a plethora of this stuff, you should be setting up here yourself. So I decided, okay, for Christmas last year, I had told my parents, they asked me, what do you want for Christmas? I was like, a couple showcases, give me a couple display cases, and it's gone from there. And it's been a wild ride. It's been extremely an interesting seeing from January. So this has been a complete full year now, starting in January I had a lot. My value boxes were being picked through. People would come around the room 4 or 5 times looking through. I mean, because when you're going through and you see, 2010, 2011, 12, 13, 14 type of products all in there that most people, their value boxes are all like 2020 and newer these days. With game used memorabilia, not the event used or that type of stuff. It was a fast go from the beginning, and it's been hard trying to keep up with that. But I do a lot of the shows around here in the Virginia. Raleigh, North Carolina is like the farthest south I've been just a couple weeks ago, and all the way up to Chantilly. And which is one of the biggest. Chantilly is the biggest show that I've set up at.
Okay.
Being one of the bigger ones across the country.
Yeah.
I have, I go to the National. I bring a cut case with me, talk to the individuals that I know there and stuff, and seeing people that I've hung out with. But before I started actually setting up as a vendor, for the past few years, I've been selling everything on eBay, of course, and Facebook Marketplace, or not Marketplace, but more groups is one of the best places to sell stuff. And now, Whatnot coming around is another great platform that hopefully this following year I'm going to get more and more involved with it and be on there. But the question, going back to your question, how's it looking and everything? Everyone says, right now the market's down, and I say it's not. I just say the people that say the market's down might not have what people are looking for.
Yeah.
You got to know your market. You got to know your market where you're at. You got to know the individuals. If you have a showcase that has only like $1,000 cards, $500 cards, expensive taste, and you're in an area where it's all middle class or lower people probably aren't going to spend their whole paycheck just on one card right now.
Correct.
But if you have a nice plethora of $5 to $100 cards, someone's willing to come over and spend $20, $40, $50 on, random cards compared to that one big one. A lot more. That's what I'm seeing. So I gear my showcases. I do have a few bigger cards, but it is a lot in that range of 20 to, 200,
yep.
And those are the ones that move a lot. Besides the value boxes, that's just pure, just people sitting there digging, looking for their PC teams, looking for their PC players. But it's been good. Yeah,
I think the range of 20 to, I've heard a few people say that recently to me, of the range of, even as low as like $10 if you want to start at $10, but like $10 to $200 right now is kind of the sweet spot for sales, at least in the current market as of Friday, December 16th, 4:56 p.m. Pacific time. That is what I'm hearing. That's what you said, and I think it's accurate. You shared a clip with me. So you've been doing group breaks for quite some time. I don't know if you're still doing them or not. But you shared a clip with me that's 14 years old. I think it was 13, 14 years old.
Yeah, 2009, I believe.
Okay, so 13 years old. Talk to me about. We're gonna pull up that clip for sure when we play this. So, talk to me about what the heck you were doing there, and how that kind of evolved from the beginning for you.
So, when I started, finding that there was a community on YouTube, there's a lot of individuals in the card community have no clue, honestly, that there's communities without. So I've started in the card community on YouTube, which then expanded in forums, Facebook, and now it's even gone farther to Instagram, TikTok, whatnot. All these communities of dealing with cards honestly have no clue that there's a whole nother community in another platform. The YouTube community of cards, a lot of people tend to go towards the main influencers, Card Collector 2, Roth Cards, Santiago Sports. A lot of those individuals that have a lot mojo, a lot of those individuals that get a lot of views. They're all over the place. But there's all the little people. I call myself a little person.
Yeah.
That we do mail days every day, showing what the life of an average card collector is, not someone that's flying around the country going to shows and everything like that. I'm starting to possibly branch off more in that, but so back in 2008, 2009, when I saw that the group breaks were happening, just little by little, I was like, oh, okay, I want to do this. Now this is the evolution of group breaks.
Yeah.
The evolution of group breaks back then was I posted a video on YouTube saying I got this box coming, this box coming, this box coming at this cost. We would do group breaks at cost. Now you got to think we were all collectors, not so much as a business trying to make money.
Yep.
We just wanted to open the products for as cheap as possible. So it would be a random team break. If it's $1,000 in cost, it was split up exactly. What it wouldn't be back then, it would be like only a couple hundred. Split up exactly between everyone. Shipping was written down, $3 shipping. Supplies, add another 50 cents for everyone. If you didn't get a hit, your shipping was refunded back to you. And you'd sign up on the YouTube page, on the YouTube actual video. So the PayPal link or wherever you'd pay would go out to them. They'd pay. And then the next day, once it's all paid, random.org. You're waiting for the video for random.org. The big key to all this, none of it was live. It was all pre-recorded, trustworthy. Everyone was trustworthy.
Wow.
It eventually evolved to having to be live because of the people that came out. There was a lot of scams with random.org. That's why they have the verified service now. It all stemmed from this. So you'd wait for the video, the random.org would come up, you'd see what team you have, and then the next video you're waiting for is the break. It's like you were waiting all day anticipating, and you'd watch a YouTube video of your break. I still do that to this day, for Blez and Leighton and all those other individuals that, still do breaks on YouTube, even Chris at Cards Infinity. And like, I'll get into a break and buy into a team or whatever, and then I'll go back and watch it later, at any time. Not watch it live. So my very first, I've already done a couple football breaks at the time, but my very first NBA break, I've been talking to people online and they're telling me, they're like, okay, why don't you do a break in uniform? Army ATC, let's do it in uniform, let's do it big. And I was like, okay. So I decided I was going to do it. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it big. So it was a basketball break. So in that break, I believe there was an SP Threads, I forget what another basketball, and then a box of Exquisite basketball. This was Kevin Durant's rookie year basketball Exquisite. I got that box actually from Chris from Cards Infinity. So I'm opening the box on camera. Again, we've already done the random and the back then. Some people were trustworthy, and they were sending cash in the mail. They were sending whatever.
Wow.
And you had to wait for it and everything.
Wow.
And yeah, just it's nuts. And opening the box, opening Exquisite, and what everyone, if they've known me in the card collecting community, I think the channel Card Porn actually has shown that clip also that you're going to show. And when they started their account up, it was one of the first clips. It's the John Stockton and Steve Nash dual Logo Man 101 auto.
Yes.
As you can tell in the video, I got really excited because I knew what I had was big.
Yep.
Yeah,
it was a stellar,
quite an
reaction. Stellar reaction for sure.
So
it's gonna be going from seeing you on screen here to that clip. People are gonna be like, "Wow, what a evolved, changed world and man in this interview."
Yes, as you can tell, this is 22 years in the making of having to shave every day, turn to not having to shave every day. And eating a lot more, drinking a lot of beer.
Do you have 2 or 3 of your favorite PC pieces nearby you, with you?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you for the heads up. I decided to grab some out of my cases and stuff and bring them down.
Cool.
So being an Army guy, right? If anyone's following me on social media, you've seen that there's been multiple things that I'm going after. So one of them is the 2021 Rainbow of Pat Tillman. Let's see if you can see it good here. So this one that I have is the actual green camo out of 15. I believe it's the best parallel.
Whoa,
period.
Green camo for Tillman, yeah.
Yeah, it's the best. I traded for this card at Chantilly this year. Traded pretty heavily for it because this card doesn't show up. I have currently, I don't know if you know this, but 2021 Prism has about, I think, 59 different parallels. Wow. I can't, don't quote me on that. It's a high number.
It's a lot.
And I have about 30 of them. That's every retail type one, all going all the way from just the regular basic base all the way to the black 101.
Right.
I know I'll never have the rainbow because the 101 isn't in a private collection. Who's also an Army vet that he spent a lot of money when it got pulled. But I'm trying to get as much as possible, and I'm about, I think, 22 away. That's including that 101. So I've acquired a good bit.
That's awesome.
So that one, bringing the green camo, I think it's one of the best ones in the set anyway.
Yeah, that's really cool.
The other one, the main Tillman that I love is the Downtown. So I do have a copy of the Downtown. This is beautiful with the eagle in the background.
Yep.
And I don't know if you ever heard of the company Slab Frame.
No, I have not.
So they make a frame, and you put slabs, or you can put actually magnetics, and they'll make the background off of the player. So I'm going to get one made with Tillman, with this going to be easily so I can put it up on the wall.
That's
a good way to show off cards in a different aspect than just sitting on a stand or whatever.
That's awesome.
It actually goes into the frame, and if you look them up, that's pretty awesome.
I was gonna say I'm gonna look them up.
But lastly, so I brought 3. Back in 2010, I got into a lot of baseball and stuff because one of my friends that I grew up with, played baseball with, actually got drafted by the Mets.
Nice.
Got drafted by the Mets, and I believe in 2006 or 2007.
Okay.
I think in 2007, Bowman Chrome is his Bowman first card, which I have every one of them except for the 101 Super. It's never surfaced. But in 2010, he actually got called up to the Mets, and so he ended up having a rookie card.
That's cool.
And in Finest, they had the letter patch autos that they had for all the players. So my good buddy his name was Toby Stoner, played for the Mets, and I have his 101 booklet from 2010. A Finest baseball. So every one of these letters are actually signed by him.
Wow.
And then it is a 1/1.
Wow. You know, I think that's the coolest PC piece I've had so far, I would say, on the show. That's awesome.
It's with growing up with him and everything, and great friend of the family. You know, I've got almost every card that has been created for him. In Finest that year, they had, you know, just the regular, just one card, you know, S, you know, TO, you know, they had a whole bunch of different parallels. And I have his name in every parallel.
That's cool.
Also. So I literally can make his name over and over. And then the 101, this booklet. He was in a whole bunch of different products that year. So he just had multiple different things. And it was great to actually, that popped up on eBay, and I had to get it.
Of course.
You know, it was an incredible piece.
Yeah. Are you?
So yeah,
do you think he's ever, does he have some of his own cards? I'm assuming yes?
He does.
Okay.
He has a few of the first ones, and he doesn't have a lot. He's jealous of what I have, and I said, if I ever find doubles, I mean, I have like the orange Bowman Chrome out of 25. I have like 10 of them.
Sure.
You know, all the lower colored ones that when they pop up, I can try to grab them as much as possible. I only found one red out of 5, and then of course the Superfractor never popped up. So it's like that elusive Evan Lagoria, you know, Superfractor that never popped up anywhere. But it's a piece that, you know, it's I know him personally, so I was like, I have to pick it up.
That is, yeah, like I said, that takes the cake for PC pieces so far, with the story and everything attached to it. That's really cool. Well, dude, I thank you for joining me, and you left out Thrown Breaks in the massive or small community. You know, I don't know where I would probably be. I'd be small times 1,000. I'd be well down the list for sure.
Well, the thing is we're all small.
Yeah.
We're all, you know,
correct
cogs that feed that thing. And then going back to, you know, what we were talking about, you know, the card shows. You know, one thing a lot of people don't understand. You know, everyone hears about the National, Chantilly, Dallas, the Mint Collective, which possibly might be coming out there for. Haven't really
hopefully
put down on that yet.
Hopefully.
And all those bigger shows. People don't realize the smaller shows at your town that has like 100 tables, 150 tables, they all feed towards the bigger shows.
Yeah.
You know, if these little shows aren't happening, the bigger shows aren't going to happen, because the product's not getting out there, the singles aren't getting out there as much as possible, and individuals aren't actually being in the hobby. You can only be in the hobby so much online. If you're out, you know, talking with individuals and stuff. So I always say it's like the river system. All the smaller rivers lead to the bigger ones, the Potomac, the Mississippi, you know, all those other ones. The smaller rivers mean, and that's what all these little smaller shows are. So anyone, if you have shows in the area, go to them. You don't have to buy anything. Walk them, see them, bring some of your stuff there. A lot of dealers are trying to buy. They need inventory, and just be prepared to do some talking. You don't have to sell anything. You know, that's how I am. I enjoy educating and talking to individuals. I can go the whole show, not sell one thing, and have the best time of my life because I'm sitting there talking the whole time.
Yeah, well, like you said, just walking the show too. Like if you have never been to a show before and you're watching this and you're thinking about going to a first show in your community or your town, just do it. You don't have to buy a thing. You don't have to sell a thing. You can go see some cool cards that you probably would never have seen if you didn't go. It's worth a trip. If you've never done it before, do it. You'll get hooked. You'll get hooked.
You do.
Man, I really want to thank Alex, aka Army ATC 22, for his time, his wisdom, just hanging out. The conversation was fun. Had some good on-air conversation that you heard. Had some good off-air conversation that you didn't hear. But the entire time was enjoyable. And again, I thank Alex for his time. As I mentioned before in the intro, we do have another mail day, which is usually my favorite part of the episode, aside from the guest interviews, aside from the intro, aside from the animation intro, aside from the editing that our producer Nick does. This is usually my favorite part of the episode, so I guess I like all parts of the episode. Anyways, let's get right into it. Like I said, something different than cards. We'll start off with that. Then I have this UFC Chronicles blaster that I got from Lids. I was selfish. I was shopping for Christmas for a couple people, and I saw them and was like, all right, yes, I'll take it. How much? And they gave me the price, and I said, yeah, okay, okay. All right, we'll save the white one for last. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the homie. Instagram is Mean Bean Game 24. You see me wear a couple Kobe Bryant shirts. He made those for me. And now he made me Throne Breaks t-shirts. I got 3 of them. One for Lovely, if you know her in the industry, aka Jessica. One for Gregulate 702, or Greg. He's hopefully going to be a partner in some stuff upcoming. And then one for me, Throne Breaks shirts. They're pretty freaking sick. And honestly, seeing them in person, it's clean. It is clean. Hell yeah. Again, shout out Pablo, aka Mean Bean Game 24. He does shirt designs. They do all sorts of stuff, honestly. Look at this one. Hang on. Look at this one. Mamba Mentality. Oh, dude, come on. Bruce Lee, Kobe. Man, I want to pull this one out. This is a purchase for myself. It is a very, very cool shirt. Caught him on a holiday special. Look at this thing. Look in the bottom right corner. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I gotta open it up. I gotta open it up. How sick is that? Man, I need a mat. I think I need a mat of that. Like just opening cards on it? Yeah, that might be a play. That might be a play, Pablo. That might be a play, Pablo. Mean Bean. So freaking cool. Thank you, Mean. You know I appreciate you. I finally opened them. I've been waiting to record it to open. Man, that is sick. That is sick. Hey, Mean. Respect, my guy. Respect. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to the Chronicles. UFC Blaster. Not really expecting too much out of this, right? I think I paid $25 at Lids. It's a solid deal. Solid deal. I just haven't ripped something for myself in quite some time. So I figured, why the heck not? Just $25. Small little Christmas gift to myself. I love the UFC. I've already had a couple guys on here that know UFC pretty well. Obviously, Beantown Breaker, if you saw that episode. If not, it's episode 3. You can find it. Habib. How about a Habib Nurmagomedov? Elite. Holly Holm, Luminance, Bantamweight. Amanda the Lioness Nunez, Crown. Adrian Yanez, Adrian. Oh, Adrian! Next pack. Rafael Fazeev. Michael Chandler, Recon. Anderson Silva, Legacy. McGregor. Conor McGregor, Origins. Ngannou. Francis. That's sick. Black of Brandon Moreno. Glover Teixeira. McGregor. Prestige. Another Conor. What's up with Conor these days, guys? He's is he gonna fight in the octagon again? Yes or no? Is he okay mentally? What's going on with him? Casey O'Neill, rookie. Black, it's John Bones Jones. Ian Gary, welterweight rookie. Thug Rose, Prestige. And an Usman Spectra. Okay. I'd like to get something nice out of these last two. I did buy a Chronicles Blaster UFC last year. And I got a Valentina Shevchenko auto out of it, which was sick, numbered auto. So hopefully the Chronicles Blaster luck stays. Hamzat Hamzat Chronicles, that's gold or orange foil. Nice. Brock Lesnar XR. Valentina McGregor again. A lot of McGregor. Lots and lots of McGregor. Last pack. Give me something good. Give us something nice. Come on, pack. Give us something nice. Any backwards cards? There might be a backwards cards or just legacy. XR, it's Anderson Silva. It was just a legacy. Chuck Liddell, Iceman, Hamzat Origins. Sean O'Malley, Absolute. Not the greatest box. But I got to open something for myself. That's always fun. I got to sleeve and top load some of these. Some of these won't even leave the Chronicles blaster box. I'm going to put them back in right now. But again, that shirt, that Kobe shirt and the Throne Break shirts, those are sick. I really do appreciate you, Mean Bean. I'm going to flash them here one more again. One more again for the big camera. Look at this. Look at this. You might see me in the next episode, a future episode with this shirt on. That is just too cool. That is just too cool. But today, bro, I said, how true to the size do these things run? He said, you know, Big Al, they run fairly true to size. I said, all right. Well, then I guess let me get a 2XL. That looks like it'll fit me. But I'm almost 3XL these days, boys. But not for long. Back in the gym, I'm gonna go pimp. Throne Break shirts, as always. Don't forget how awesome you are. I won't forget how awesome you are. Take it easy. Until next episode, this was episode 6 of Throne Breaks. Peace.
What up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Who Wore It Best? Jersey Royale. As always, I'm your host, Kaleigh Krish. This is a new year, and you might be new to the channel. So why don't we take a quick recap on how things work, shall we? Each week, I pick a number from 0 to 99, and then I go into the vault of sports knowledge and break down the greatest players to wear that number from every single sport. Once we have our candidates, I will determine who wore the number best, who's the hands-down greatest athlete to wear that jersey, and from there on, the debate is over, folks. That's it. No questions asked. Now, if you were with us last time, you already know what the number we are going to do this week is. This is our part 2 of the greatest to wear the number 7. Now, on the last episode, we talked about the careers of Ivan Pudge Rodriguez, Tim Horton, Ben Roethlisberger, Joe Theismann, and of course, our crowned Part 1 champion, Cristiano Ronaldo. But the number 7 has been worn by so many greats that we just had to do a Part 2 and give you all 5 more candidates of who wore it best. So, are you ready for Part 2? Let's get into it. First up on our list is NBA baller, number 7, Carmelo Anthony. Melo is known as one of the greatest scorers in NBA history and was recently named the NBA 75th anniversary team. In his freshman year at Syracuse from 2002 to 2003, Melo averaged 22.2 points and 10 rebounds per game, earning the consensus pick for NCAA Freshman of the Year. He helped lead the Orange to its first ever NCAA tournament title, leading the team in scoring, rebounding, minutes played, field goals made, and free throws made and attempted. During the road to victory, while playing the University of Texas in the Final Four, Anthony's 33 points set an NCAA tournament record for the most points by a freshman. In the championship game against the Kansas Jayhawks, he had 20 points and 10 rebounds. And for his effort, Melo was given the tournament's Most Outstanding Player award. With that stellar performance, Melo decided he had to strike while the iron is hot and declare himself eligible for the 2003 NBA Draft. The Denver Nuggets selected Carmelo 3rd overall, and in just his 6th professional game, Anthony scored 30 points, becoming the 2nd youngest player in NBA history to score 30 points or more in a game, and it was the fewest games a Nuggets rookie took to score 30 points. In his rookie season, he would average 21 points, which was more than any other rookie, but would come 2nd in NBA Rookie of the Year voting, finishing runner-up to, who else? LeBron James. Carmelo spent 8 seasons with the Nuggets wearing number 15, and it wasn't until he got to the New York Knicks that he would change his number to 7. In 2013, Carmelo Anthony went on a Knicks franchise record of 6 consecutive games with at least 35 points. No player had scored at least 35 points in 5 straight since Kobe in 2006-2007 season. He became the 2013 NBA scoring champion with 28.7 points averaged. In 2016, Anthony became the 5th active player to eclipse 23,000 points, joining 28 other greats to gain that milestone. In his career, Melo played 1,064 games, averaged 24 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, and 3 assists. He was a 10-time NBA All-Star, 7 consecutive from 2010 to 2017, and he's got some pretty great Olympic Games stats as well, winning gold in 2008, 2012, and 2016, and a bronze in 2004. Melo holds the record for the most Olympic medals in the NBA and was the first player in U.S. men's basketball history to win 3 gold medals, a record that was recently tied by Kevin Durant. And Anthony is also the career leader in scoring, rebounding, and games played, becoming USA Basketball's most decorated Olympian. Carmelo Anthony also shares the NBA record for the 3rd most points scored in 1 quarter with 33. And if you're a fan of the show, you know who he shares that record with, Mr. George Gervin. There we go, folks. First on our list. Or is this 6 on our list? I don't know. Either way, this guy is one of the greatest to wear the number 7. But will he claim our 2nd title? You'll just have to stick around and find out. Next up is quite a controversial person. But hey, we aren't here to debate morality, only sportsicity. Yeah, that's right. So let's dive into our next career of Michael Vick. Now, this guy paved the way for the dual threat quarterbacks to run all over the competition, pun intended. Without the success of Michael Vick, the NFL would not see guys like Cam Newton, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, the list goes on. Now, Vick's rushing stats in 2010 is what provided the foundation for the acceptance of the mobile quarterback. With a league-leading 676 yards and 9 touchdowns, he was the status quo for being able to remain on his feet, avoid the rush, and extend plays and come up with positive yardage. No defenses during this time had seen a QB so successful at this. Now, Vick started his dominance leading Virginia Tech as a redshirt freshman. In his first game, he would score 3 rushing touchdowns in just over 1 quarter. He led his team to an 11-0 undefeated season and advanced to the Bowl Championship Series national title game. Vick would single-handedly bring his team back from a 21-point deficit. However, Tech would end up losing that game. Vick would finish 3rd in Heisman Trophy voting, matching the highest finish ever by a freshman up to that point. In his 3 years at Virginia Tech, Vick rushed for 1,216 yards and averaged 5.5 yards per carry, and scored 17 rushing touchdowns. This added to his 187 completions for 3,279 yards and 21 passing touchdowns, leading Vick to being inducted into the Virginia Tech Hall of Fame in 2017. Look, I also want to point out how fast this guy is. On his pro day workout, Vic ran the 40-yard dash in 4.33 seconds. His time being clocked as low as 4.25 seconds. That is the fastest ever for an NFL quarterback. Vic was selected first in the 2001 NFL Draft by the Atlanta Falcons. In his season finale of his rookie season, Vic accounted for 234 of Atlanta's 255 yards. In 2006, Vic became the first quarterback to rush for over 1,000 yards in a single season. And he also set a record by rushing for an average of 8.4 yards per carry. Michael Vick is a 4-time Pro Bowler and holds the NFL record for most rushing yards by a QB with 6,109 and the record for average yards per carry with 7. All right, let's keep this train rolling and move on to our next best to wear the number 7. We are going back in time to talk about the Mick. The Commerce Comet, that's right, Mickey Mantle. Mickey played his entire MLB career from 1951 to 1968 with the New York Yankees as a center fielder and first baseman. He is one of the best players and sluggers and was regarded by many as the greatest switch hitter in baseball history. Mantle was one of the greatest offensive threats of any center fielder. He has the second highest career OPS plus among center fielders behind Mike Trout. And he had the highest stolen base percentage in history at the time of his retirement. Mantle hit 536 career home runs, batted 300 or better 10 times, and is tied for league in walk-off home runs with 13. And he is the only player in history to hit 150 home runs from both sides of the plate. Mickey Mantle won the Triple Crown in 1956 when he led the major leagues in batting average with 353, home runs with 52, and RBIs with 130. Now, Mantle has claimed that this is his favorite summer. It would be mine too if I won a Triple Crown, the first of 3 MVP awards. I mean, come on. And side note, he is the only player to win a league Triple Crown as a switch hitter. It's impressive. In his career, Mantle was a 20-time All-Star, was an American League MVP 3 times, and won a Golden Glove in 1962. He made 12 World Series appearances with 7 championships and holds the World Series records for the most home runs with 18, RBIs with 40, extra base hits, runs, walks, and total bases. By the way, team doctors and training isn't what it is today, where you see, say, a football player go down with a knee injury, get immediate surgery and rehab, and be ready to play next season. No. All of these accomplishments and stats came with Mantle playing his entire career with a torn ACL. So what's your excuse? In his first complete World Series in 1952, Mantle was the Yankees' hitting star, with an on-base percentage of above 400 and a slugging percentage above 600. He homered for the 3rd Yankee run in a 3-2 Game 6 win, and he knocked in winning runs in the 4-2 Game 7 win with a homer in the 6th inning and an RBI single in the 7th inning. The Mick has been known for hitting some of the longest home runs in Major League history. In 1960, he hit a ball left-handed that cleared the right field roof at Tiger Stadium in Detroit, and based on where the ball was found, it was estimated to have traveled 643 feet. Another time, this time right-handed, he hit at Griffith Stadium in DC, and that was measured at 565 feet. 2 times, Mantle had hit balls off the 3rd deck facade at Yankee Stadium, nearly becoming the only player to hit a fair ball out of the stadium during a game. Another fun fact, Mantle was also one of the best bunters for base hits of all time. He is in 10th place in number of bases empty bunt singles for his career with 80 in just 148 at-bats. On June 8th, 1969, The Yankees retired Mantle's number 7, and he was awarded a bronze plaque to be hung on the center field wall. In 1974, in his first year of eligibility, Mickey Mantle was elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame. And the Sporting News has placed Mantle at 17 on the list of baseball's 100 greatest players. All right, moving on to our next greatest player to wear the number 7, we are going back to the NBA with Pete Maravich. Now, Pistol Pete, not to be confused with the Pawnee resident of Parks and Rec. No, this Pistol Pete is the all-time leading NCAA Division I scorer and averaged 44.2 points per game. Maravich is considered one of the greatest creative offensive talents and one of the best ball handlers of all time. In just 3 years playing on the varsity team at LSU, Pistol Pete scored 3,667 points, led NCAA in scoring, and was All-American in each of his 3 seasons. He was also a 2-time National College Player of the Year and a 3-time SEC Player of the Year. Now, Maravich had a long-range shooting ability, and unfortunately, he played before the advent of the three-point line. He was also playing before the shot clock came into play, which results in more opportunity to score. Now, imagine how much higher his records would be if he were playing in today's game. In his 3rd season with the team, he and teammate Lou Hudson became only the 2nd duo in league history to each score over 2,000 points in a single season. Maravich posted a 26.1 average, 6.9 assists, and 2,063 points, and made his first ever NBA All-Star Game appearance. 1974, with a new expansion team coming, New Orleans was looking for a face for the franchise, and they wanted Pistol Pete, someone to generate excitement among new basketball fans. Plus, he was already a celebrity in the state from his days at LSU, right? In his first season with the Jazz, Maravich averaged 21.5 points per game. The team as a whole struggled. The Jazz added some supporting cast, and Maravich had his best season in 76-77. He led the league in scoring with an average of 31.1 points per game. He scored 40 or more in 13 games and 50 or more in 4 games. And in one game against the Knicks, Pistol Pete scored 68 points. And at the time, this was the most points ever scored by a guard in a single game. And only 2 other players at any position had ever scored more, Wilt Chamberlain and Elgin Baylor. And fun fact, when Pete scored the 68, Elgin Baylor was the head coach of the Jazz. That season, Maravich earned his 3rd All-Star Game appearance and was honored as All-NBA First Team for the 2nd consecutive season. In his career, Maravich was a 5-time NBA All-Star, 2-time NBA First Team, the NBA scoring champion in 1977, and he made the 50th and 75th NBA anniversary teams. His number 7 has been retired by both the Utah Jazz and the New Orleans Pelicans. All right, people, we are coming up on our last candidate for part 2 of the greatest to wear the number 7. Now to recap, so far we have unveiled the careers of Carmelo Anthony, Michael Vick, Mickey Mantle, and Pete Maravich. Now, the last one on our list tonight is, come on, who did I forget? That's right, John Elway. John Elway is considered one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, spending his entire career with the Denver Broncos. In his college days, he became the starting quarterback as a sophomore and would throw 27 touchdown passes that season, which was 2nd in the NCAA. In his senior year, Elway would be a part of one of the most ridiculous plays in college football, known as the play. Now, Stanford was in a must-win situation to make a bowl game, and at the end of the game, it looked like the Cardinal was gonna pull out a win 20-19 over the Cal Bears. However, There was 4 seconds left on the clock after the go-ahead field goal. And I'm sure you have all seen the image of what happened next. On the kickoff return, the Cal Bears lateraled 5 times. Now, 2 of them pretty controversial, I might add. So much so that the Stanford band was out on the field celebrating the Cardinal win. But the game wasn't over. And the Cal Bears would run into the end zone, trampling the band and beating Stanford and dashing their hopes of a bowl appearance.
Harmon will probably try to squib it, and he does. Ball comes loose, and the Bears have to get out of bounds. Rodgers along the sideline, another one. They're still in deep trouble at midfield. They tried to do a couple of... The ball is still loose as they get it to Rodgers. They give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He's going into the end zone. The Bears have won. The Bears have won. Oh, my God. The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football.
Now, despite never leading his team to a bowl game, Elway had a great college career. In his 4 seasons, he completed 774 passes for 9,349 yards, 77 touchdowns, and 39 interceptions, while also scoring 5 rushing touchdowns. And in 1982, with his 24 touchdown passes, he led the nation. At the conclusion of his college career, Elway held nearly every Pac-12 record for passing and total offense. He won Pac-12 Player of the Year honors in 80 and 82, and was the consensus All-American and finished second in Heisman Trophy voting as a senior. In 2000, Elway was enshrined into the College Football Hall of Fame and has been ranked 15 on ESPN's top 25 players in college football history list. Now, here's a story I didn't know until doing research on Elway's career. But in 1983, during the NFL draft, the Baltimore Colts had the first overall pick. But Elway did not want to play for the Colts. They were among the worst teams in the league, were located on the East Coast with some of the harshest winters, and he is a West Coast boy, and had a head coach in Frank Kush who didn't have a great reputation. Now, Elway refused to play for the Colts. He basically tied their hands by telling them that if they drafted him, he would play for the New York Yankees instead. Because, of course, he was such a good athlete that he had been drafted by the Yankees as well. Yeah. With Elway forcing the Colts' hand, they ended up drafting him and trading him immediately to the Denver Broncos. I wonder what kind of world we would live in today if John Elway would have been a Yankee instead of a Bronco. We're gonna have to butterfly effect that sometime. Could be interesting. Anyway, in 1986, Elway led the Broncos to Super Bowl 21 after defeating the Cleveland Browns in an AFC championship game. In the span of 5 minutes and 2 seconds, Elway led his team 98 yards in 15 plays to tie the game with 30 seconds left in regulation. Now, they would ultimately win in overtime, which is great. But they would give up the lead in the Super Bowl and lose to the New York Giants. Next season, Elway would go back to the Super Bowl after again defeating the Cleveland Browns in the AFC Championship. But history repeats itself, and the Broncos would lose to the Redskins after having a 10-0 lead. But Elway did have some highlights in that game, including a 56-yard touchdown pass with only 1 minute and 57 seconds ticked down on the clock, which set a record for the fastest touchdown in Super Bowl history. Elway also became the first quarterback to catch a pass in the Super Bowl, recording a 23-yard reception on a halfback option play. 2 seasons later, Elway would lead his team to another Super Bowl appearance, but ultimately get blown out in another loss. Now, I bring up these Super Bowl losses because it is really hard to get to the Super Bowl, and this guy did it 3 out of 4 years. It is impressive despite the losses. Now, it would take Elway another 8 years, but eventually he led his team back to the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 32, facing the defending champions, the Green Bay Packers. Now, I'm going to skip over the next part. We'll move on. Yes, Elway would win his first Super Bowl. And again, he would take his team back the next season, defeating the Atlanta Falcons 34-19. Elway would be named MVP of Super Bowl 33, throwing 336 yards, 1 passing TD, 1 rushing TD, and only 1 interception. After his second Super Bowl victory, John Elway announced his retirement. Elway's stats are pretty impressive. He has one of the best winning percentages in league history with 148-82-1, and was tied for second most Pro Bowl selections for a quarterback at the time of his retirement with 9. He was named NFL MVP in 87, NFL Man of the Year in 92, and NFL Passing Leader in 1993. He is on the NFL's 1990s All-Decade Team and the NFL's 100th Anniversary All-Time Team. In 1999, John Elway's number 7 jersey was retired by the Denver Broncos during a halftime of Monday Night Football game and was inducted into the Broncos Ring of Fame that same night. He was also inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He got that gold jacket in 2004. Now also, I left you guys hanging with this fun fact in our last show, but Ben Roethlisberger wore number 7 because he idolized Elway, and obviously, he honored him well. There we have it, folks. There are the 5 players added to this part 2 of who wore number 7 best. Now, who will reign as champion alongside Cristiano Ronaldo? Well, we will get to that momentarily. Now remember, I got 5 other episodes on YouTube playlists that are awaiting your view, your thoughts, your feelings, all of it, so you know what to do. Head on over to Titan Media Collective YouTube page and hit subscribe. Then go to the Who Wore It Best playlist. Go watch them if you haven't seen an episode yet. While you're at it, share the content with your friends and hit that like button. All right, now that all the housekeeping is in order, it is time to reveal who was crowned the Part 2 champion of Who Wore It Best number 7. Drum roll, please. It's the Mickey Mantle. Yes, another Yankee great to wear it best. Need I remind you, 7 championships? And the guy never really had a bad season. Yes, people will argue that the last few years of his career were terrible, but let's take a quick look. In 67, Mantle averaged .245, but the league batting average was .236. Only 4 American League players batted at least .300. That's right, just 4. He still hit 22 home runs and had .391 on base percentage and slugged .434. So come on, if that's your worst years, I'll take it. And last fun fact about Mr. Mantle, in August of 22, his 1952 mint condition baseball card sold for a whopping $12.6 million. Big Al, was that you? Damn. All right, folks, that concludes our Who Wore It Best Jersey Royale of the number 7. Now, I'd love to know your thoughts. Who do you think wore it better between Cristiano Ronaldo or Mickey Mantle? I'm gonna let you decide that one. Stay connected to see which number will be battling it out next. See ya.
Welcome, my friends, to another episode of Boozin on a Budget here on Titan TV. It is the Year in Review episode. In this episode, we're going to talk about my favorite beverage experiences that I had in 2022, and we'll look ahead to some of the trends and some of the things I'm looking forward to in 2023. Let's start with whiskeys. Some of my favorite whiskeys this year were craft whiskeys, things from smaller distilleries, smaller operations. Store picks really stuck out to me this year,
as those are ones that have been chosen by a store, a bar, restaurant, whatever, and those have always been good to me. So those were some of my favorite whiskeys this year. So let's talk. I've got 3 that have really stuck out that I want to talk about. Stellum. Stellum is from Barrel Craft Spirits, and they came out they're new, relatively new, in March of 2021. They started blending their whiskeys and putting it out. These are awesome. Truly unique offerings from Stellum. They have a bourbon whiskey and a rye offering, as well as some other one-off offerings that they have as well. What I like about these, they're generally all high-proof offerings, and you can get your hands on these Stellum Straight Bourbon for about $50. That bottle of Stellum Straight Bourbon for $50 is just about as good as you can get if you're looking for something truly unique yet drinkable. So watch Stellum. If you haven't tried Stellum yet, give them a try. I think they're going to do big things here in the next couple years. One of the best Stellums that I had this year was a store pick from one of my local liquor stores, Liquor Lineup 2 to be exact, in Las Vegas. Again, these store picks, that's an added bonus because somebody's gone out from that store and said, this is the barrel that we really like. And man, I had a Stellum store pick from Liquor Lineup. It was phenomenal. The next whiskey I want to talk about is Frey Ranch. Now, I'm a bit biased because I'm from Nevada, and this distillery is right here in northern Nevada, where I'm from. This is a grain to glass distillery. They grow all the grains, they do everything on the farm, distill it, put it in the barrel, age it, bottle it, all that. So that's a story in and of itself. It is a craft distillery doing everything right there on the ranch. They are making fantastic whiskey, and they are just going to continue to put out different offerings. They got some different grain products coming up, 100% corn whiskey that you can get at the distillery, a quad malt. They're starting to experiment with different grains too, as you're going to see in the future. They're going to put out some offerings there with some different grains. And then really something that I've noticed over this last year was that they're really getting into the single barrel game, the store pick game. You're seeing these different single barrel Frey Ranches come out. High proof stuff. Their bottled in bond rye I got to try this year was incredibly good. So keep your eye on them. These guys are doing big things in the whiskey world. Every single one of their whiskeys that I've tried so far has been fantastic. Again, I'm a little bit biased. They are a Nevada product and I'm a Nevada boy, but Frey Ranch has really taken the country by storm. They've really notched their place in the whiskey world. If you haven't tried Frey Ranch yet, I highly recommend that you do that. Incredibly tasty stuff. You can buy Frey Ranch. Let's just say the straight bourbon will run you about $40 to $45, depending on where you might find it. Their rye, 100% rye, bottled in bond, comes in at about $60, a little bit more expensive, and then their single barrel offerings and their store picks. I actually lucked out and got a Frey Ranch store pick for like $40. Couldn't believe that. Most that I've seen are around $100. So give Frey Ranch a shot. They got these beautiful, heavy, awesome bottles, and they make incredible whiskey. Now, for my whiskey of the year though, really tough to pick because I tasted a lot of different whiskeys. But here on Boozin' on a Budget, we are about QPR, quality to price point ratio. So probably the best whiskey that I had that fits that QPR model was Still Austin, the Musician. Still Austin has a number of offerings. They even make gin. They have a cast strength whiskey. They have a bunch of other stuff coming out too. They are another craft distiller. They are another craft distiller that does things grain to glass, just like Frey Ranch. They're from Texas, Austin, Texas, to be exact. Their bottles are really cool. They have some really cool artwork on there, but all the grains are grown in Texas. It's distilled at their distillery. So that alone is a story. However, it stuck out to me because this Still Austin Musician that I had, I paid, I think $40. I paid $39.99 for it. And it just stuck out as truly unique, truly flavorful. There was so much to be had in that Still Austin Musician for such a low price point. It's like 98.4 proof, so a decent proof on there as well. Again, it's a craft spirit, so I would give them a try. I'm really excited to try their cask strength whiskey because that should have even more of a mouthful of flavor. But probably the one that stuck out as the most unique, most flavorful, grain to glass craft distillery for my pick for 2022 whiskey of the year, meeting our QPR model was still Austin, the musician. All right, guys, let's move on to wine. I'll be honest, I drank a whole lot more whiskey in 2022 than I did wine, but I did taste quite a number of awesome wines as well. I want to start just by saying this is one of the best wines that I tasted. Just a Ted Red, nothing fancy, 2017, Lake County appellation. You can find some of this stuff in your grocery stores. I guess what I really want to point out is that if you're educated a little bit about wine, if you know what you're looking for, and even more so if you're willing to go out and try some of these things, I paid $9.99 for this. It's one of the best reds that I had all year. I just found it at Grocery Outlet in Reno, of all places. I know not everybody has a grocery outlet, but be open to trying some of the stuff in your grocery store. There's some terrible stuff in the grocery store. Your Menage a Trois, I don't even know if they make that anymore. Just get out there and experience some of these. There is good wine at cheap price points to be found if you're willing to go look for them. So this Ted Red, if you find this one, give this one a shot. Super good. Really though, I want to say for me, the all-star wine for the year was Cremant. Cremant is sparkling wine from France that is not in the Champagne region. So again, that QPR model, we're looking for the best booze at the best prices. Look for, if you're into champagne but you don't want to pay champagne prices, everybody's feeling the pinch a little bit in their pocketbook. So if you are wanting to try some stuff like champagne but you don't have the money for it, go for something that's bubbly, that's not in the Champagne region. There's great wine to be had. Cremant, I had some lovely Cremant de Bourgogne, which is about as close to champagne as you can get without being champagne. I think I paid $19.99 for a bubbly wine that gave me a really similar champagne experience. If not, maybe you couldn't even pick it out of a blind taste test because it's so close to champagne. I also want to talk about other bubbly wines. This one is a Mumm from Napa. A lot of people just generally say, oh, champagne, champagne. If it's not from the Champagne region in France, it's not technically champagne. However, there is wonderful bubbly wines to be had out there for a lower price point. I think this one was a little more expensive, like 22, 23 bucks. Haven't opened this one yet. Actually haven't had Mumm, but expecting this one to be very tasty. Instead of paying that 50, 75, 100, 150 for champagne, you can find some awesome bubbly wines at a lower price point outside of the Champagne area. What's coming up in the wine world? Well, I think you're going to start to see more experimental stuff. Something that started taking place over the last few years was something that we call orange wine, which is just a white wine grape that is fermented with the skin on, that gives it kind of an orange tinge. So orange wine is new. I actually haven't had an orange wine, so maybe I'll make that a goal for me in 2023 to find and try an orange wine. Organic wines, those are going to continue to be popular in the market. I want to start getting back into my wine. I kind of got off the wine train for a while, got on the whiskey train, but I'm really starting to enjoy my wines again. There's so much to learn and appreciate about wine, and I would encourage you to dive in. You don't have to break your pocketbook to do so, and that's why I started educating myself so much, so that I could find some really good wines that were within my price point. Because boy, you can spend a ton of money on wine, and I don't have a ton of money to spend on wine, so I wanted to find the best wine for the best prices. So get out there, educate yourself about wine. I'm going to get back into wine a little bit more as the year goes on, and we're going to talk wine in our wine episode. That is coming up here shortly as well. Moving along to beer. Let's talk about some of the beer that I drank this year. I drank a lot of local Las Vegas brewery beers. I would encourage you to get out wherever you are in the nation and try your local breweries, because that's where all the fun stuff is happening. Nothing against mass-produced, bigger-produced stuff, but I love to try my local breweries just to see what they're doing, get out and experience what they have to offer. They're being experimental. There's sours now and milkshake IPAs and fruited this and all kinds of stuff. I'll be honest, I'm not into some of the fruited stuff. You may be, so give it a try. Suffice it to say, they're doing all kinds of fun experimental stuff with beer, and it's a great time to be into it. It's not all about IPAs, although I believe that going into 2023, your IPAs are going nowhere. IPAs will continue to be a huge part of the market. If you're still on the fence about an IPA, start with a lower IBU, International Bitterness Unit. a lower IBU score of maybe like a 20, 50 below on your IBUs to get your palate adjusted to IPAs. I do want to talk about 3 specific beer brands that really I want to highlight this year. One of them being one of my all-time favorite, which is Sierra Nevada. Sierra Nevada, just a general the OG, man, that Sierra Nevada Green, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale Green label, something that started a lot of people in the IPA world, one of the first IPAs to really make it across the United States. I love Sierra Nevada up in Chico, California. One of the things that they're doing now is their Little Thing line. So they have a hazy little thing, wild little thing, strong little thing. They have a bunch of different ones. It's a little bit of a different marketing approach for what Sierra Nevada has been known for, but man, they're making some really good stuff. Hazy little thing from Sierra Nevada is one of my favorite ones from their new Little Thing lines. But they have the Celebration that comes out around Christmas time. I had some of that, it was fantastic. They've got a range of stuff. They got the Bigfoot Barley wine. They got Narwhal. They put out some seasonal stuff. Sierra Nevada, one of the OGs, one of my favorite breweries. They've got a lot of different offerings out there from Sierra Nevada. They're one of my most memorable beers of 2022. Next, I want to talk about a brewery from the Seattle area, Fremont. Fremont just made its way down to Las Vegas where I live, so it may not be in your area. However, if you can find it, I highly suggest their stuff. Their stuff is some of the best beer I've ever had, and it seems like you can get your hands on it without the price gouge. Boy, the prices of beer really skyrocketed lately. The beer I'm going to talk about next, we'll talk about their price point, like $19.99 for a 4-pack of cans, is a little bit hefty. Fremont you can get your hands on. They're giving their 6-packs out for about $10.99. That is incredible, really good price, really competitive price for what they're doing. The beer's coming out of the Seattle area. I've had a couple of different Fremont offerings. I look forward to trying more. But if you can find that in your area, Fremont Brewing out of Seattle, check them out. They're my number 2 pick. The number 1 beer pick for me for 2022 is Great Notion. Great Notion coming out of the Portland area. I talked about Great Notion in the beer episode. They have these I just love the way their cans look. They're black with this really kind of cool animated writing on there, or animated pictures on there. But I'm telling you what, Great Notion is not giving their stuff away. They're literally coming in at $19.99 for a 4-pack of cans, 4-pack of pint cans. I've seen it as high as $21.99. You may not be able to find Great Notion in your area, but keep your eyes on them, and if you see their stuff, definitely pick some of that stuff up. It is worth the money if you got a little bit more you want to spend on beer. Great Notion. Also, if you're really interested in Great Notion, check out their website because I believe they do ship to some states. But Great Notion is my number 1 pick for beer in 2022. Guys, welcome to my next segment, Binge Thinking. In Binge Thinking tonight, we're going to talk about what I think is going to be some trends moving forward and some of the apps that you can use to explore alcoholic beverages. One of the biggest ones, if it hasn't made it to your area yet, actually hasn't made it to Las Vegas, but I believe this is available in most other markets, is Drizzly. The app Drizzly allows you to basically, it's like Uber Eats or Postmates. You put in your order for whatever wine, your beer, your whiskey, whatever, and somebody will actually come and deliver it to your house for you. So I think Drizzly, it is an app. Get on Drizzly. This is the way the world is changing. Now they bring our groceries, now they bring our beer, they bring our whiskey right to our doorstep. Something really cool to check out, Drizzly. Another thing I want to highlight is in the wine world, There's all kinds of like mail order wine you can get. There's wine clubs, there's beer clubs where they'll send you different wines, different beers. Flaviar is a whiskey sample. They'll send you different samples. It's a fun way to try new things and to get your hands on some of the products that maybe you can't get in your area. So this home delivery of alcoholic beverages, I think, is just going to continue to proliferate. Drizzly is a huge thing. Wine Searcher, wine.com. You can find all kinds of different apps where you can order this stuff and they'll send it to your house. This is a wonderful way to get out and experience new beverages that you may not have had before. All right, I'm filming a little earlier in the day today, so I am not having an alcoholic drink for Drink of the Week. But let's talk about what we're gonna do here. It's been snowing where I'm at right now up in northern Nevada visiting family for the holidays. And what are we looking for when it's cold out, when it's snowing? We're looking for something hearty, right? Your proof on your whiskey will go up a little bit, keep you a little bit warmer on those cold winter nights. Your beers will get darker in the wintertime and heartier, thicker, right? Our porters, our stouts, our things like that is what we're gonna drink in the winter. Wine, your nice heavy reds, your Cabernets, your Zins, you know, your Merlot, stuff like that. Those are gonna complement those hearty winter meals. So we're gonna pair all this stuff with our hearty winter meal, like our stews and our chilies. We had lasagna the other night. We paired what was it? It was a red wine. It paired incredibly well, super tart, fruity red wine that we paired with our nice hearty lasagna. So this here too, I've been kind of sipping on this, a Jack Daniel's single barrel proof. Woo ma! This one coming in 132.9 proof. This will keep you warm, so look out for that. Get yourself used to those higher proof whiskeys, nice dark reds, your hearty dark beers. Get you a hearty winter meal and pair it with your favorite alcoholic beverage. All right, my friends, I want to talk real quickly about what I'm looking forward to in 2023. I addressed some of that earlier, but I just want to start trying more wine. I want to start getting out. I think you're just going to see more craft everything, craft beer, craft wine, craft whiskey. These smaller producers are starting to really take their shape in the landscape of your alcoholic beverages. Nothing against mass-produced stuff. There are some great large-produced stuff. That's not going anywhere either. But I really have been seeing this craft movement happen for the last few years. I've jumped on board. It's really interesting to me to try those smaller things. They usually have a cool story of where it's come from, how they came about. One of the coolest ones that I came across this year was Broken Barrel. Broken Barrel Whiskey is a whiskey producer out of Los Angeles. They do source their whiskey, I believe from Kentucky, but then they bring it in and give it additional oak stave treatments to that whiskey. They literally, the owner of it is out there. You can find him on his Instagram, breaking barrels with an axe. Then they take that broken barrel and they treat that whiskey that they sourced with some additional barrel staves. Some of it is maybe matured, already used other whiskey barrels or wine barrels or beer barrels or French oak, American oak. They're just taking these and they're putting it in their whiskey and they're experimenting. So that's what's cool about some of this craft stuff is across the board, wine, beer, and whiskey. We're experimenting. We're pushing the boundaries a little bit more. There's more freedom to do that. People are willing to spend their money on that because as we experiment more, as the craft and smaller distillers, smaller producers get better and better, the quality of their product gets better and better. People are trying it more and more. People are open to trying things. And so I really, really enjoy that. One of the biggest things I look forward to in 2023 is to continue to try some of the smaller stuff, especially with the whiskey. Specifically, I have this goal, and I need to do some more research on it, but it's caramelizing your beer. So I started seeing this year. They're literally taking like a hot metal poker, heating it up, and just sticking it in their beer. It foams up. And I think it is supposed to produce, and then, they take it out. I think it is supposed to produce a real creamy, rich, different experience for that beer. So some of your favorite beers that you've already had, hundreds and hundreds of times, you can caramelize them and get a whole new experience. I'm gonna maybe look to buy a caramelizer. You'd have to get a caramelizer and then a torch, a literal blowtorch to heat that up, and then stick that in your beer. I'm gonna do some more research on that. We'll talk about that in a future episode, but I'm looking forward to trying that too, caramelizing your beer. that and just getting out and really getting back into my wines. There's so many wines to try, and I want to get back out there and try them all without breaking the bank. We're going to get into that in the wine episode, but wine is just really interesting because it takes the character or the personality of the place where it comes, the geography, the terroir. So you can really read and research that, and there's so much interesting information, and then you can go and taste it. See what you think. See if you can tell the difference between Napa Valley and Lodi or some of those other places. Can you taste the difference between wine from Washington State or California? So you can really get in. It's really fun to taste this and enjoy and experiment and learn about all of these drinks. And again, if you do a little research, if you learn a little bit, you can do all this without breaking your bank. That's exactly what we're about at Boozin' on a Budget. I want to wish everybody a happy new year. We're going to continue to taste in moderation and explore all of these drinks as we move into 2023, and I'm incredibly excited to see what this new year will bring. I hope it's been good to you so far. You guys take care of yourselves and join me next time on Boozin' on a Budget here on Titan TV.